the life and legacy of Alexander the Great, the man, the myth, the legend. In the heart of ancient Macedonia, in a palace surrounded by mountains and legends, a boy was born who would one day be known as Alexander the Great. His father, King Philip II, was a fierce warrior and a shrewd leader who had unified the fractious Greek city-states under Macedonian rule. His mother, Olympias, was a fiercely protective and ambitious woman, deeply spiritual and rumoured to have a direct line to the gods themselves. From his very birth in 356 BCE, it seemed that the stars had aligned for this boy whose destiny was to change the world. The making of a legend. As a child, Alexander was not only the prince of a burgeoning empire, but also a student of one of history's greatest philosophers, Aristotle. Under Aristotle's tutelage, Alexander learned about philosophy, science, medicine, and literature. Yet more than anything, it was the stories of Achilles, the hero of Homer's Iliad, that captured his imagination. Alexander wasn't just learning how to rule, he was being groomed to conquer. From a young age, it was clear that Alexander was no ordinary prince. At just 16 years old, when his father went off to battle, Alexander was left in charge of Macedonia. He didn't just keep the kingdom in order. He quelled a rebellion, founded his first city, Alexandropolis, and set the stage for the military genius he would soon become known for. When Philip II was assassinated in 336 BCE, many thought that the kingdom would fall into chaos. But Alexander, just 20 years old, swiftly took the throne. He executed those who conspired against his father, subdued the rebellious Greek states, and turned his eyes eastward toward the vast Persian Empire. His ambition was insatiable. The world was not enough. He wanted it all. The rise of a conqueror. Alexander's first test came at the Granicus River in 334 BCE. Facing the might of the Persian Empire, Alexander showed his soldiers that he was not just their king, but their leader in battle. Charging across the river, he led his cavalry straight into the heart of the Persian forces. His bold tactics and fearlessness in battle led to a crushing victory. This was the beginning of a campaign that would take him across 3 continents and create an empire the likes of which the world had never seen. From the battlefields of Asia Minor to the sands of Egypt, Alexander's name became synonymous with victory. At the siege of Tyre, he faced one of his most daunting challenges. Tyre was a fortress, an island city thought to be impregnable. But Alexander, ever the strategist, ordered the construction of a massive causeway to breach the island. After 7 long months, Tyre fell. The world took notice. This was no ordinary general. Then came the Battle of Issus in 333 BCE. Here, Alexander faced Darius III, the King of Kings, who commanded an army that dwarfed Alexander's forces. But numbers meant little to Alexander. He used the narrow terrain to neutralize the Persian advantage and executed a brilliant flanking maneuver that sent Darius fleeing. It wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. The Persian Empire was vulnerable and Alexander was its greatest threat. But it was at the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BCE that Alexander cemented his legacy. This battle was the climax of his Persian campaign, where he faced Darius one final time. Despite being outnumbered, Alexander's tactical genius shone through. He feigned retreat, drew the Persian forces into a trap, and then unleashed his full might, smashing through the Persian lines. The victory at Gaugamela wasn't just a military triumph. It marked the end of the Persian Empire and the beginning of Alexander's reign as the ruler of the known world. The expansion of an empire. With Persia under his control, Alexander's empire stretched from Greece to Egypt and as far east as the Indus Valley. He was not just a conqueror, but a ruler of diverse peoples and cultures. When he entered Egypt, he was welcomed as a liberator from Persian rule. In the ancient city of Memphis, he was crowned pharaoh, and he founded the city of Alexandria, which would become a beacon of culture and knowledge. As Alexander's army marched through Central Asia, he faced new challenges, both in the rugged terrain and in the guerrilla tactics of the local tribes. But he adapted. He founded new cities, spreading Greek culture and influence even further. His conquests in Central Asia pushed the boundaries of the known world, bringing Greek and Eastern cultures together in a way that had never been seen before. In 326 BCE, Alexander led his army into India, a land of mystery and immense wealth. The Battle of the Hydaspes River against King Porus was one of his toughest challenges yet. The Indian elephants were formidable, and the terrain was treacherous. But Alexander's adaptability and respect for his enemies won the day. Impressed by Porus's bravery, Alexander reinstated him as a king under his rule, showing that he could be both a fierce warrior and a wise leader. However, it was in India that Alexander's campaign met its first real obstacle, not from his enemies, but from his own men. Exhausted and longing for home, his soldiers refused to march further east. Reluctantly, Alexander turned back, his dream of reaching the ends of the earth unfulfilled. The question of leadership. Alexander's empire was vast and culturally diverse, and his approach to ruling it was unique. Unlike many conquerors, he sought to integrate the cultures of the lands he conquered. He adopted Persian customs, married a Persian princess, and encouraged his soldiers to marry local women. This blending of cultures led to the Hellenistic era, where Greek and Eastern cultures merged, creating a rich tapestry of art, science, and philosophy that would influence the world for centuries. But Alexander's leadership was not without its dark side. Cities that resisted him were often met with brutal force. Thebes was razed to the ground, and its people were enslaved. Tyre suffered a similar fate. His ruthless approach to rebellion ensured that few dared to challenge his rule, but it also left a trail of destruction in his wake. Despite his efforts to integrate cultures, Alexander's insistence on adopting Persian customs and declaring himself a god created tension among his Macedonian officers. This tension culminated in conspiracies and the execution of close companions who were seen as threats to his authority. It was a stark reminder that even the greatest of leaders must balance power with trust. The impact of a conqueror. Alexander's influence didn't end with his death in 323 BCE at the age of 32. His conquests reshaped the world, creating a cultural and intellectual legacy that would last for centuries. The cities he founded, especially Alexandria in Egypt, became centers of learning and culture. The spread of Greek language and ideas across the East created a common culture that would influence the Roman Empire and the development of Christianity. But while Alexander's achievements were monumental, they were also fleeting. His empire, held together by his charisma and military prowess, quickly fragmented after his death. His generals, known as the Diadochi, carved up the empire, each taking a piece for themselves. The dream of a unified world under Greek rule died with Alexander, raising the question, was his empire built to last, or was it just a product of his ambition? The darker side of conquest. Alexander's conquests brought both glory and devastation. The destruction of cities like Persepolis, which he ordered burned in a drunken rage, and the brutal suppression of revolts showed that his methods were as ruthless as they were effective. While he spread Greek culture far and wide, he also left behind a legacy of bloodshed and suffering. Critics argue that Alexander's success was not solely his own. His father, Philip II, had already laid the foundation for Macedonian dominance, creating a powerful military machine that Alexander inherited. Some suggest that Alexander's conquests were merely a continuation of his father's work, raising doubts about whether he was truly the greatest general of all time or simply a gifted leader who capitalized on the groundwork laid by others. Comparing greatness. To determine whether Alexander was truly the greatest general in history, it's essential to compare him with other military legends. Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian general, is often hailed for his tactical brilliance, particularly during the Second Punic War. His crossing of the Alps to surprise the Romans remains one of the most audacious military maneuvers in history. Yet, Hannibal's ultimate failure to secure victory over Rome contrasts with Alexander's unbroken string of successes. Julius Caesar, another towering figure in military history, expanded the Roman Republic and laid the groundwork for the Roman Empire. Like Alexander, Caesar was a brilliant strategist and tactician. However, while Caesar's conquests had a lasting impact, his life ended in assassination, and his ambitions were cut short before he could achieve all he had planned. Napoleon Bonaparte, who admired and sought to emulate Alexander, revolutionized military strategy with his use of artillery and the organization of his armies. However, Napoleon's ambition led to his downfall, and his empire, like Alexander's, ultimately crumbled. Each of these generals left an indelible mark on history, but their legacies are mixed with both triumph and failure. The question of who was the greatest depends on the criteria one uses: tactical brilliance, strategic vision, the ability to inspire troops, or the lasting impact of their conquests. The man and the myth. Alexander's legacy is a blend of historical fact and myth. From the time of his conquest, stories of his divine birth and invincibility were spread by his followers and later by historians who admired him. These stories help to create an image of Alexander as a figure larger than life, a hero akin to Achilles, whom he so admired. Over the centuries, this image has been embellished and romanticized. Artists, writers, and historians have each added their interpretations to Alexander's story, creating a legend that sometimes overshadows the real man. Yet when we strip away the layers of myth, what remains is still extraordinary. A young king who conquered the known world, spreading Greek culture and reshaping the ancient world in ways that are still felt today. Conclusion. Alexander the Great's life was a whirlwind of conquest, ambition, and innovation. He was a military genius who never lost a battle, a ruler who sought to unite cultures, and a man whose legacy has endured for millennia. Yet his story is also one of brutality, controversy, and unfulfilled dreams. Was Alexander the greatest general in history? Perhaps. His achievements are unmatched in many ways, but they were also the result of the groundwork laid by others and the ruthless tactics he employed. What is clear, however, is that his impact on history is profound and enduring. Whether seen as a hero or a conqueror, Alexander's life is a testament to the heights of human ambition and the complex legacy that such ambition can leave behind. Please like, comment, and subscribe.